All right. So we're live. We're here. Matter of fact, this is what we're gonna do. So we're gonna be a quick disclaimer. This is educational and not legal advice, but it's from our opinions, from Brooks and Javon Bates, from Real Opportunity Bridge Foundation. Today's podcast is basically we have SAG afters actor with TV credits including Perry Mason's HBO and Enemy Within NBC, plus film leads and extensive improv training. Filmmaker, writer, director, producer behind award-winning shorts and pilots. We have Brooke Trantor. How you doing today?
Oh, I'm great. Thank you for having me, Joanne.
Yes, yes, yes. How was your day?
Oh, it was wonderful. It's been pouring in Los Angeles, which is a different vibe over here. I'm loving it as a Midwest gal, so no complaints over here.
Okay, okay. That's good. That's good. All right. So, um, we're gonna call this right now Brooks' real path, and I'm gonna ask maybe 2 3 questions, and you just let me know, what you think and how you feel about it. So, give
Great.
us two turning points that took you from training to pro work.
Great. Awesome. Well, I will say also the training never ends for me. Like I'm constantly re-upping my game and being in class. I think it's like going to the gym. Like I never want to be out of shape. So that's a constant. But I think what took me to the next level was honestly having people advocate for me to get me on set. I was an assistant and a nanny for a director for several years that took a chance on me and told their colleagues about me, and that got me like my first co-star. So it is about who you know, but in the best way. You want people to advocate for you, just like I hope to do for other people.
That sounds good. So, what did you think SAG meant, and what did you learn what it really means?
Yeah, I think my perception of being a union member was that once I became one, like I was, woo, money was going to be flowing. I was going to be booking everything. I would be CAA, the top agent, like, in town. And, that's all still coming, but that was definitely like a perception that I think people still deal with is like expecting a certain success to happen right away. So it was
Right,
not that. However,
right,
it did open doors to legitimate projects for me, to agents and managers being interested in me, and to be able to get on SAG sets, which you can technically do if you're SAG eligible, but to show up and be a union member is like a whole other kind of, I think, pride and legitimacy when you step on a set.
that sounds good. So
Yeah.
we talk about training and improv pipelines. What does those word means to you? What does that those 2 words mean to you?
Yeah, I think training is everything. I think seeing on someone's resume that the training has been a huge part of their past and present, perhaps, is just
Yeah,
showing that someone's dedicated to their craft, someone who wants to show up for themselves and is putting themselves first and their future first before anyone else gives them permission. And then, I mean, improv to me is like it's my bloodline. It's who I am. I started at the age of 11, so I've really never known anything else. And it really cracked me open at a very interesting time in my life. Hitting puberty is like a very specific time in a person's life. So improv opened me up in like this very beautiful way to be very comfortable laughing at myself, to understand how to really listen and build community. And I still bring a lot of parts of improv to set today in terms of how I even run a set as a director. That freedom and collaboration is kind of what I'm always striving for to have
right.
with fellow creatives on set.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
So I heard you mention about when you were a kid. What schools did you attend? What junior high and high school did you attend?
Yeah, I was a public school girl. My mom was a teacher, came from a very, hardworking blue collar family. So I went to Quincy Junior High School and then Quincy Senior High School in Quincy, Illinois.
Okay, okay. Sounds good. Sounds very
Yeah.
interesting.
They had
All
really,
right.
really great, the community has a really great support for the arts. So it was, I think, going into the real world, realizing like what I had as a kid and what we had in a community. I was like, oh, not everyone has this? Wait, I'm so confused. So it is truly a blessing that I look back on and have a different perspective on too.
For sure, for sure. I understand that for sure.
Yeah.
So with the sag highs,
Mhm.
what's worth it? So basically, what changes the moment you step on a union set? The pace, the respect, the safety, the workflow. What changes?
Yeah, I think everything. I think remembering the first SAG set I stepped foot upon, it was like, the second you step on set, you're signing in like to the minute. Everything is very, very business oriented. And there is like an element of safety and protection that I feel on a SAG set. I'll never forget one of the first movies that I had starred in, like someone coming up and tapping me on the shoulder and being like, hey, we need to talk with you, bro. I'm like, what's going on? And it was a SAG rep. And I didn't realize that's what they did. And they came and pulled me aside when I was not shooting. They're like, how's your day going?
Right.
They want to know, are you being treated well? You got to take a break, and I was like, wow, this is like legit. So that felt really good. And then I think, you get like a guarantee payment time. Like this is how many days you have to get paid. This is what you make hourly.
It's
This
the
is your rate
minimum.
when you're in, a minimum. Yeah. And like also knowing that like it's coming. I've also been in predicaments with indie filmmaking years and years ago where like, yeah, you're getting paid this much. And I could tell you about projects where I never got paid. It's like,
Right.
scams are out there in every industry, I think. But like when you're an artist and you really want to do it and you're like, oh, I'll take anything, like whatever. There are scammers out there. So you just have to like be careful. But
For sure.
SAG definitely legitimizes the work and makes sure that you're getting paid and you're protected and cared for.
Sounds good. So
Yeah.
the best thing SAG did for you as an actor, what's the real value you felt?
I'm proud to be a part of a union. My parents were in unions. Like, I think it is like it, if a union is working for you, it's the greatest thing that can happen. I think we are in the midst as a country in general where a lot of change is happening. So a lot is having to be spoken about when it comes to like our new contracts, and we have to fight for certain things. But that's what
Right.
being in a union is part of. So to have a voice and to show up for myself and community and our future is very important to me. And I'm glad to feel that I and my colleagues have a voice in that. That's very important.
That sounds great. How
Yeah.
does having legit representation and management affect access and momentum?
Well, honestly, it affects everything because the TV shows and films you want to be going out for like legit like network
Right.
television, HBO and stuff like that. Unless you like I don't know are friends with someone casting, you have to have that in between person in the industry to get you those auditions. You can't just like email someone and be like, I want to be on the
Right.
next hit. It just doesn't
Right.
work that way. So you have to
Right.
have that between person. And then what comes from that is like that's their relationships too. So if they have a close relationship with a casting director that casts all these network NBC comedies, they know their reputation. They're going to bring in their best improvisers or comedy actors. So it's all about who you know. And when I was younger, I thought that was a negative thing. I think because I didn't know anyone, I was like,
Right.
don't tell me that. Like I can do anything, which I think everyone can do everything. It's not that, but like you're in the industry long enough that you meet people and you do have these wonderful relationships, the friends, the people, the colleagues you build around you. It's like, oh yeah, it is who you know. And that can be a very positive thing. It just takes
Right.
years to get to know
Oh yeah.
people. Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely. So, what are the green flags on the set that scream professional production?
I'm sure everyone has their own opinions. I will say, and this isn't even about like how much money is rolling through a set, but I think a professional production is rooted in kindness. And people have like different horror stories. We all do, but I think it is
Right.
so possible to be a good person and run a professional production. That's what I try to bring to my sets, and what I think the industry is now like we're holding one another accountable and demanding that. So
Yeah.
for me, that's like number one. That's what I'm going to be talking about when I leave set, is how I was treated, how I saw other crew members treat one another. That's everything. So for me, that's
Right.
number one. But like legitimacy of a set is also like, are we on time? How far behind are we? Am I in my trailer for
Right.
10 hours waiting to go say one line? And
Right.
sometimes you don't know what's going on outside of your trailer as an actor. I don't know, why are we 10 hours behind? That doesn't actually happen. I, I mean, it's rare to be that, behind, but it does.
Right.
Um, so as long as communication is flowing and I understand what's going on, that's all I seek in professionalism. And there's a lot of other things, but to me, those are the most important: kindness, showing appreciation for people being on set, and communication.
So which one is the most that you demand, like off the top? Like what's your number one demand for yourself personally when you
For
walk
my,
up?
like that I would be running.
Far as like let's say you were your next project will be the number one thing you'll demand for yourself personally without voicing it, but what's the first thing you want to demand?
Yeah, the thing that I'm like really just like at the point in my career where it's not like it's non-negotiable is if I'm running a set, let's say specifically like it's my script, I'm directing, I'm running things.
Right.
Everyone on that set should feel seen, heard, and valued. Period. And respected.
Yeah.
Period. I don't
Right.
care if you're going to get coffee. I don't care if you are the one holding the camera. I don't care if you are A-list actor from, I don't care. And it is, and people are like, oh, that's not possible. It's so possible. It's so possible because one element, one person not being on that set affects everything. It is a puzzle. One
Right.
piece being taken away it throws everything off. So I even remember like this project I was on in New Mexico last year. I was talking to a PA and I was like, what are you interested in? He's like, why are you asking what I'm interested in? I was like, because I want to know, like, do you want to be a PA
Right.
forever? That's amazing. Is that your goal? He's like, no, I'm a cinematographer. I was like, great. Tell me, what do you want to shoot? What is your dream? I want to know that. And I think everyone should be on set feeling that it is like familial with boundaries, obviously, but
Right.
you should feel part of it.
For sure. For sure. All right. So we're gonna talk about sags, lows, and what they don't
Okay.
warn you about. So it's basically the theme is like cost limitations, pressure, and reality checks. So what was the hardest part of being or going SAG that people romanticize?
Sure. I think I touched on it. It's like this idea that you're then gonna, be Jamie Foxx. It's like, I mean, maybe eventually, like hopefully,
Right.
but like it doesn't happen overnight. And I think for me, and this was a different time era, so things have changed for the positive, but like I forgot, I got a knock on my trailer on set from a SAG rep when I had to join SAG that day. I had done enough projects where it's like, okay, you are a must join today. Do you realize that? I'm like, yeah, what does that entail? Is like when you get off set, you have to call and join. So back in the day, just to age myself, that meant I had to pay. I had to pay the full amount. I think let's say it was around 3,000.
Right.
$3,000 that day I had to pay. And that job was not going to pay that much. It was
Right.
like a co-star, but I had saved up. I knew that day would eventually come. I didn't know it was that day. Now they
Right.
have payment plans. Thank God, because the accessibility of that is just like it's just that's insane.
Yeah, that
So
is.
for my personal experience, it was that. It was like the money that day. But yeah, they have payment plans now, and I think that was like a really positive shift for the union.
That's cool. I was just about to ask you that. How do the dues and fees kind of like work?
Yeah, dues and fees depend on what you have made in the past. I think it's quarterly we pay. So it's a
Mhm.
percentage of what you have made. Um, so again, it's like that ranges for every working actor.
Yeah.
You know, it's, but you get the reminder, you get the email. It's like, oh, okay. I forgot that those were coming up again. But again, I think in terms of like the grand scheme of things, it's so worth it. I'm such a proud union member. And there are so many programs that they provide and assistance for
Right.
free that I always say like, okay, that's what I'm paying for, is like this bigger picture here.
Right.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So
Yeah.
what happens when you're in the building? I'm sorry. What happens when you're building your career, but the union lane feels slower or narrower?
I mean, you tell me. I think I think I think the story these days are like the solution is creating your own work. I mean, or
For
you
sure.
could sit around. You could sit around and wait forever, I guess. But I was just never that person. So, it's been about a decade, which is right around actually, ironically, when I did join the union about 11 years ago. When I was like, okay, I have to start writing and creating my own stuff and building community within that. Um, because yeah, the jobs are fewer, I think, especially now. Especially commercials have changed a lot, but everything is just a bit slower post pandemic and strikes and all the things.
Right.
So I just was like, I had to learn that the hard way, but the hard way ended up like paving a lot of my careers. Like me creating is what I think has really developed my own voice as a creative.
So I heard you mention creating, which is a great thing as a
Mhm.
filmmaker, and I know that it's definitely a gift to be a filmmaker. And what was your first trials and tribulations that you went through for your first film that you could remember?
Oh my God, I'm trying to remember what the first one was. I'm sure it's scrapped from the internet, so don't even try to find it. No, I think it was like the confidence to just do it. For a long time, people had said like, you need to be writing. You're a great writer. You're a director. Like, and this was back in the day when like Hollywood really wanted to put you in one box. You could wear one
Yeah,
hat. Like, tell us very specifically who you are. You can be one thing. So I was
right,
terrified that if I started writing or directing, that would take away from the legitimacy of my acting work. So I was like, no, I'm an actor. But then you get frustrated because you're not acting. So it's like,
right,
okay. So the trials of doing like those first films were like, I don't know how to do this. But the key to that was reaching out to friends that I knew who did. So it was like, okay, put your ego aside and and I guess celebrate the phrase I don't know. I think
right,
people have like shame around that, but I think it can
right.
like be freedom. I don't know.
Exactly.
I want to learn. Teach me. I don't have a hang up about that. I think that was the key to like pushing forward and becoming a writer, a director, a filmmaker. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good. I
Yeah.
remember myself doing my first film, and like you
Yeah.
said, just you just trying to fill out like what to do. You sometimes you don't know, so you reach out to different people. So I definitely understand that. I definitely
Yeah.
understand.
And I think that's like the precipice of everything that we're learning. I talk on a grander scale because I think our industry is always a reflection of what's going on in the world. It's like
Right.
community is everything, right? It's
Sure.
how
Sure.
we literally survive as humans. So to think that you can do it alone is just like, I don't know. It's silly.
Yeah. It's definitely in the film. It's impossible to do it alone.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. And
It's
it takes the
impossible.
joy away from it. I mean, you could set up a camera and do everything, but like what is the collaboration in that? Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So what's the emotional lows that you kind of like went through, and then how did you stay steady? Like, how did you overcome it?
Uh-huh. Well, I mean, I cried an hour this morning on the phone with my friend, so I don't look, I don't I won't I'm never gonna like blow smoke or lie about anything. I think it's this constantly. I don't think the waves
Yeah.
stop coming. I've talked to A-list actors who have been emotional, wondering where their next job is coming from. I'm like, wait a minute, this never ends. Oh, okay. So how do you become friends with that fear or that uncertainty? It's like, how do you just embrace that we don't know what tomorrow holds? All we can do is our best today.
Right.
So I think like therapy has been a huge thing for me. Working with like-minded people who maybe we don't see the world the exact same way, but we challenge one another to maybe see from a
Right.
different perspective. I only want to keep growing, and I only want to continue to advocate for other people around me to have their voices heard. That's like my greatest joy and purpose, I think, through this work. So if I focus on that instead of the me stuff, because that's easy to do as an artist, like, why am I not getting auditions? Why am I not picked for this? Blah, blah, blah. But if you think bigger, community, okay, why am I doing this? Oh, yeah, we're all trying to rise up together. Why? Our stories deserve to be told. Your story deserves to be told. Okay, how do I help you? When you're of service to the grander scheme of things, it takes you out of your head. And for me,
Right.
that's what emotionally regulates me, and what my therapist and I talk about a lot is like serving the whole. Thinking back to what little Brooke wanted. It was like, what was that about? Oh, being with your friends and telling stories with your friends.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
like let's do that now. That was the dream, so let's do it.
It's funny because we was talking about it, and that's the next subject is
Oh, there
mental
you
health.
go.
You know, so I talk about it all the time with Real Opportunity Bridge Foundation members and
Hmm.
associates. So like people don't understand, like it's very stressful. You get anxiety dealing with certain things on set, and when you get
Mm.
home, you kind of like you're dealing with reality again, like your
Hmm.
bills and all
Yes.
that stuff. So you do that stuff at home when you come into the set, and
Yeah.
people don't understand. Sometimes you're just trying to like really share, like the set is like your house, like your heaven to you. So you really just not trying to focus on the bills and all the problems at home. So
Yeah.
like I said, it's pretty much you know you want to relate to people that's in the same shoes. And I just think it's good to talk to different directors, filmmakers, people that do the things you do because they can understand you. So how do you feel about, talking to different directors, actors, and people who do film as well?
Yeah. I mean, it's so important, I think, because we're also emulating the human existence and condition. That's what we're doing as storytellers. So to pretend that we're also not dealing with our own mental health journeys is like, that's insane. So I appreciate you asking that question. And I think it's very important to be authentic and vulnerable in this conversation. Because I think for a long time, there was this idea that, like, oh, you book your first TV show and like you're a millionaire. Or what we've seen, I've
Right.
been reading up, and, James Vanderbeek and, his struggle going through cancer and having a 6 kids, and like this assumption that he was just like rolling, like, I'm sure he had it better than a lot of people, but the assumption that Dawson's Creek had him like rolling in money forever is a myth, because a lot of people on the outside don't understand how residuals work, and how it's not fair, and it's not the same on every project. So there is this like Hollywood glow that we see, that's like the surface of Hollywood, that's like 1% of the experience. It's not the actual work. When you're on set with like blue collar hardworking people. There's like no glam on set except like maybe
Right.
in the makeup chair, and those people are working just as hard. So I think like just removing the assumption that it's like a glamorous life is important. Now, is it a privilege? Yeah, it's also a privilege to be doing what we love, and we can recognize that. But I think like a few years ago, especially during the pandemic, when some like series regulars were coming out and being like, yo, I still have a job at Trader Joe's. And people are like,
Right.
what? Why? It's like, because that's the way it is. That's the journey. So,
Yeah.
I have to keep myself in check with all of my therapist, my spiritual guidance, my faith. That is
Yeah.
like number one in order to continue to do this.
Yeah.
And yeah, the bills don't ever stop. Like that's not that's like the
Exactly.
what do they say? Like taxes and death are our guarantees and
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
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 So the hustle never stops. I don't, maybe I don't talk about a lot of that necessarily openly a lot. I'm trying to be more forthcoming, but I'm also always hustling for the next gig, or like side hustle, or how I'm paying rent. That, like, I don't know. For me, that has not gone away. That's consistent. Yeah.
Sure. For sure.
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna talk about the gold indie pros need. So when we say gold, we're talking about the things that they actually need to stay sane and to do better. So what would you do differently if you were starting over with the short film today?
If I was starting over, I would trust, this is like a maybe a little more woo woo, but I would trust my gut. If someone walks onto your team and you get a feeling that maybe you shouldn't be working with that person, or maybe they shouldn't be around, it's probably
Yeah.
for a reason. If you're really in touch with your intuition, there's a reason you're feeling that. So
Right.
I'm getting better at that, and like really advocating to work with people that I trust and I know are good people. That's probably the number one, because that affects everything. People's energy affects the
Oh,
whole
yeah,
process.
for sure. For sure.
One person, that's in every industry, right? One person can
Yeah.
bring the whole ship down. So that's very important to me. And then I think honestly, and maybe we'll talk more about this. I would have started earlier. I just would have started creating my own films earlier. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna ask you for your opinion about this. So
Okay.
do you feel like a lot of people try to use um, fame over talent for films more so than talent over fame? So like this so-called, higher popular person that really can't really act, but then you have this no-name talent that is great, phenomenal. Do you think it like do you think they should definitely, be treated as equal, and also that the person that can act, they should be definitely, moved around to different filmmakers versus somebody
Mhm.
trying to hold them. So what's your idea on that?
Yeah,
What's
I have a
what's your
lot of thoughts on it. I think everyone deserves an equal opportunity to succeed at what they do. And the back end of that is like you could be the most talented person in the world, and I won't curse, I'm trying to be professional, and not a great person. So it's like,
Yeah,
okay, well, what is what's the balance there? What's the ratio? I think I'd maybe work with a less talent, or I would want to work with a slightly less talented person than someone who's going to be that. But I think like we're also in a time where there was this, like, again, like pandemic times, a lot of influencers were getting jobs, a lot of TikTok stars. And
yeah,
TikTok, like video filmmaking, is just different than being on film. Like you taking a few seconds to have a joke is a craft, but to
right,
sustain a 15-hour day on set, I think the industry learned very quickly that fame on an app does not equate talent
exactly,
or resilience in a career. So I think it
right,
depends on the person for sure, but talent isn't everything. It is important. It is not everything. I always go back to heart and kindness, and I think you can have both, and but kindness, like for me, is like most important.
all right. So one last thing, where can people reach you at far as like the social medias?
Oh yeah, pretty much across the board. It's just my name, Brooke Trantor. It's my website too. You can find a lot of my work there. And yeah, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm a pretty active person on social media and love to hear from other creatives.
Yeah, so we glad that love to have you here. Great to have you here, and it was an appreciation, for your time, and thanks for giving me insight. Like I said, I'm always learning myself, so I'm never a person to say I
Yeah,
know everything. So I'm glad that you came on here, and gave us some jewels, some lessons, and some good kind words as well. So yeah, we
I'm
appreciate you here.
yeah, I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you for asking me. And as I said before, I know I see your hustle too. So please keep me in the loop about how I can support you and your community, because I see what y'all are doing. It's pretty fabulous to watch.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah, yeah.
you have anything, any last words, words of wisdom, or anything that you want to say to the aspiring actors, filmmakers,
Yeah,
creators?
absolutely. I think follow your gut, listen to your gut. It's always right, and just go do the thing. And if there was like one action step to take from this, is I think what propels us is accountability. So call one person tonight, or send a text or email tomorrow to be like, I've got this idea. Let's just get coffee and talk about it. Who knows where that could lead? But you saying it out loud to someone else is like, that makes it real. It starts to like spin the wheel. So just trust that voice and act upon it.
Right. And one last thing, do not do not come late to a casting call. Right.
Late? If
Yeah.
you
Don't.
are, I was taught if you're not 5 minutes early, you're late. So
Yep.
yeah,
If you on
like,
time, you're late.
yep. Even if you have to wait in your car because you're way too early, have a book, or what, a podcast to listen to. But yeah, if you're not on time, you're late.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, that wraps it up. Thank you for coming, Brooke. We appreciate you. and hopefully we'll have you back sometime this year. Hopefully before the year let out. So thank you for your
Yeah,
time.
dope. That would be awesome. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Keep me in the loop with all your projects, Javon. Thanks for having me.
All right, take it easy, and don't forget
You
y'all
too.
go to
Bye.
JeffyLegacyFilms.com and real REEL bridge.org for Real Opportunity Bridge Foundation. All right, y'all have a good night. We'll see y'all sometime again.